if you want to get out from, like, if you want to break through, if you want to go from this level to that level, you can't be like, okay, I'm just gonna dip my toes in the water. I'm just gonna try it. I'm just gonna see it. I'm just gonna play around. I'm just gonna do. That's typical. That's average, man.
What's the journey, man? What's the journey? How can you replicate it? How can you apply some of those principles and ideas?
The number one thing that I can sincerely say that absolutely changed everything, I worked on myself first, period.
So here's the formula. Learn something new, and then do it and implement it.
Against all odds, right? Against, everything, they persevered.
I didn't have to be that smart guy that's going to go out and create all this tech stuff.
I had found all of these other hidden loopholes within the eBay system, like alternative ways to make money on eBay.
And they did it in this industry. They did it in online marketing. All right, hey everybody, Vick Strizheus here, back with you for another episode of The Journey. Welcome to episode number 10. Glad that you could join us here. I'm very, very excited about this particular episode. We're going to be talking about success. We're going to be talking about the journey. We're going to be talking about marketing. We're going to be talking about business ideas. What are the concepts, right, that allow people that used to be average, used to be, people who would, who would have these big aspirations and big desires to be somebody, to do something, and one day comes along and it actually happens. Okay, so I get to be the guy who kind of digs, and just kind of goes under, digs under the hood and goes kind of behind the velvet curtain, if you will. And finds out, what are the secrets, what are the breakthroughs, what are the lessons, what can I take for myself as an entrepreneur. Perhaps you're watching this, you're an aspiring entrepreneur. So again, welcome. We're going to get started here. If you are first time watching this right now, right, if you don't know, who we are, well, I'm coming to you here live from our headquarters here of the 4% Group. I'm the founder and creator of the 4% Group, and courtesy of the 4% Group, we have this show that we do every single week, every single Thursday, like clockwork. It's called The Journey. This is where we interview. This is where I get to interview and bring some, exceptional entrepreneurs, if you will, people who are movers and shakers of the industry, people who deserve, to be invited on the journey by myself, and we dig into their story, how they did what they did to become and get to who they are today. So I'm very, very privileged and very excited to introduce to you a power couple is what I'm going to call them. A lot of guys, a lot of our people, a lot of millennials out there, right, are doing this internet marketing stuff and building online businesses. And you know what we're going to talk about today is, it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter, where you're from. You don't have to be in the United States. You don't have to be in any particular country. You don't have to be a certain age to succeed. All right, everybody, I want you to help me welcome to the show here, Mr. Chris and Susan Beesley. You guys, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. That's a great introduction.
Isn't it just? And of course, I'm going to add to that, well, age is but a number, after all.
I mean, if you were talking about millennials there, it's quite interesting because we're actually baby boomers and our 5 kids are millennials.
Awesome. Hey, I want to get into you guys' story today. You guys are over there in, you're not in the United States. Where are you in the world right now?
We're in a place called Biggin Hill in Kent, which is just outside London here in the United Kingdom. The Biggin Hill is a very famous place. It's the site of the biggest World War II Battle of Britain airfield. It's the home of Charles Darwin, the home of Churchill. So I think we live in a very privileged location, and we just travel everywhere, but London's our home.
Yeah, I see you guys at events all over the world. It seems like if there is an event happening in our space, you're there, and that's what I appreciate. I applaud people who guys like yourself, over there from different country, being a baby boomer, and going strong and setting an example for us millennials in a lot of cases, So I want to dig into your guys' story. Look, you guys have a book that you've written. You're at the point to where you speak on stages. I think you told me off air that you guys spoke with on stage in front of 6,000 people, right? So I want to know first of all, how long you guys been doing internet marketing for?
Okay, so we've been online just over 6 years, and it's one of those I mean, it's sort of one of those situations, just to give you a little bit of backstory there, Vic. I mean, we have a professional background as accountants and management consultants, and specifically we used to work in the veterinary profession. So we used to work with veterinarians, helping them build their business and all that sort of stuff. But the problem with that, you know, especially when you're self-employed like we were, we didn't employ anybody because we'd been there and done that, and to be honest, had enough of employee and employment regulation and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, we used to work for ourselves, and we had a great life, but it was 6 or 7 days a week, 10 or 12 hours a day. And, you know, for us, that was a problem as you're getting into your mid-50s and you're getting a bit closer to the retirement, and you're thinking, well, am I going to retire? What am I going to do? I mean, for us, to be perfectly honest, I don't think we will ever retire because we just love what we do now. And we were very fortunate that we changed direction 6 years ago from being self-employed to having a home business and working online, which has allowed us to fulfill our tremendous requirement for travel, wasn't it?
Yeah,
and time freedom.
And it's really funny because we talk about home business, but when we got into that, when we met and we formed our company, we said to ourselves, do you know, it's great, we're going to have a home business, we're going to be able to work from home. And of course, it couldn't have been further from the truth, because unfortunately our clients actually wanted us in their offices. So we really had a great home business, but it was just like a job, to be perfectly honest. And we were in the daily commute, leaving home here at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and not coming home till 6, 7 and even later in the evening. And, you know, as time went on, like Chris has said, we sort of realized that we really and truly were at the mercy of our clients, and that our dreams and aspirations, which were travel, you know, both of our parents are really well traveled. They have had their own businesses and done loads of stuff, and we really wanted to have a part of that. And we sort of shelved everything while we were helping the kids grow up, go through university, as I'm sure you will find when your brood get to that stage. It's a very, very expensive occupation.
Yeah.
But, you know, once the last one had left home, we became the empty nesters, and we said, you know, what the heck, let's just get on with it. And do it. And yeah, there was some things behind it. We've had some things that always happen in people's lives that actually do make them change direction. And I guess, you know, our viewers here tonight watching this may have that same kind of moment in their life, or have had that kind of moment. And for us, it was discovering that with all the best intention, our pension nest egg had pretty much become a millstone around our necks, because we'd invested in property. The crash of 2008 came along, and we were left holding the babies, babies that were costing us more than we expected them to, really. And that's what made us change, and we've not got a regret for any moment.
No.
So you guys transitioned into the online marketing. So when you're referring to home-based business, are you referring, is that has to do with online marketing, or is that, did you do something else?
No.
Originally our, if you like, our consultancy business was supposed to be home-based, but of course it ended up not being that. Sorry, carry on.
I think there's a little bit of a delay. After all, you guys are across half the world here, you know, across the pond there. Here's what I want to know. Okay, you guys are somebody who, you guys are doing great right now in the area that you guys, or in the marketplace that you guys are serving, right? You guys are leading by example. You guys are making things happen. You're getting the results that others can, look at as an example. So I want to know, right? You guys started out 6 years ago. There's going to be several groups of people that can be watching this, okay? So obviously there's people watching us live right now in 4% group here, and you guys are also part of the 4% group. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. There's also going to be people who, are going to be watching this on the internet, right? And so there's going to be hundreds of thousands of people watching this. And so there are going to be affiliate marketers. There are going to be people who promote other people's programs, which you guys have done that, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that. And you guys wrote a book, right? I want to talk a little bit about that. because I know there's going to be a lot of people who like, well, I got a book inside of me. How do I do that, right? So, maybe we can talk about that topic. I want to talk about marketing a little bit. I want to talk about what's working for you guys right now, how you're building your tribe. What are you guys doing right now that's working? So let's go ahead and circle back and start from the beginning, if you will. Okay, so when you guys got into the internet marketing industry 6 years ago, how did you get involved? What did you do first? What was your first beginnings like at that time?
It was funny, actually. I mean, it was sort of accidental, Vic, because we were looking for online education for our consultancy business that we could teach our clients. That's what we were. We knew the internet was going to be big, and we were looking for education that we could basically teach our clients. But it was sort of through that research that we found at that time there was actually an opportunity to start a business online and build a real business online, just like we built a real business offline. Right. We could actually build a real business online. To us, though, I mean, it was totally alien. It was totally a totally new direction. If we were to look at that, and we actually found a program that is no longer around that taught exactly that. It had a whole suite of online education programs and training products,
marketing, training, everything.
Which was great,
right?
And it cost us just over $3,000 to get this product. But the thing was, the key thing for us was, firstly, when we bought it, we then found other stuff got in the way, so it sat on the shelf for 9 months. And that's just us being honest. These things do happen. But we actually, we came across a guy who's still very much in the online space, very successful guy. At the time, he was 27 years old. We were in our mid-50s, and he became a mentor of ours. Mm-hmm. And it was really strange. That was the first thing we had to get our heads around, was that we had somebody teaching and training us who was younger than our eldest child. Which was
that was a mindset thing.
That was a mindset shift, I can tell you.
Did it take a little bit of time for that to sink in? Did you feel any resistance in that?
To a degree, yes, because the whole online space thing was very foreign to us anyway. Right. And by way of example, we take for granted, for example, a site that everyone knows, Facebook, that there cannot be anybody listening or watching that doesn't know about Facebook, even if they have some resistance to using it. And our mentor said to me, he gave Chris tasks to do, and he gave me tasks to do. And my tasks were go and open a Facebook account and start building a tribe as we know it now, an audience. At the time, it was just go and get friends. And I said, well, how do I do that? He said, well, just go and Google it. And that was the first understanding that I had and we had, that, my goodness, there is something that we can do and teach other people how to do, because they need to know how to do it. And that's when we really realized the power of having him as a mentor, because he had been brought up like our children had, with this stuff as part of their everyday life. Whereas to us, we knew nothing about it. We didn't even have a Facebook account. And in fact, one of our children had said to us, our son had said to us when we had started our ski business, just get a Facebook account, create a page on there and just start promoting it, and then you'll get lots of clients. And we went, oh no, don't be silly, of course we won't, because we didn't understand the power of social media. And yeah, that was one of the biggest things for us, wasn't it?
But I think, going back, did we find it difficult? Yeah, there was a bit of a barrier there that we had to get over. But, the way to get over it was he'd done what we wanted to do. He had the knowledge that we didn't have, and he could show us the way forward. And, you know, when you're starting brand new, and, you know, as you said earlier, Vic, there's probably a lot of people on here who are newbies, or maybe you've been looking around online for a while and not quite achieved what you want to achieve. You know, having a mentor, somebody, whether it's a person or a system or a group of people, a community that can help you move forward in a step-by-step fashion, you have to have that support. It doesn't matter whether you think you're brilliant, the best in the world at it, you still need that support. And, you know, that was why he was phenomenal for us, because he just gave us the steps we needed to do. Not, you know, as Susan said, not, you know, this is the button you click on to open a Facebook account and then you fill your name in this box, etc. It was the first thing he told us to do, which was all about branding, although we didn't know it at the time. Mm-hmm. He said, go and build your own website. And as he said to Susan, go and open up Facebook for you. But for me, he said, go and build a website. And I've never done one. He said, well, go and get this piece of software, download it on your computer, watch the training and do it. And that's what I did, because WordPress, that didn't exist. ClickFunnels didn't exist. Lead Pages, all these sites that actually have websites built for you, they didn't exist 6 years ago. And so it was all done from scratch.
So
it was great.
So your mentor, I mean, he just basically gave you guys a task. He just told you an idea. Really, what he gave you is an idea. Go build a tribe, right? Go build yourself a website. And so you did you guys, like, you know, did you have to go back to him over and over again? Hey, show me how to do it. I'm having a challenge here. Or did you consult YouTube? I'm trying to, the reason I'm asking here is because there's so many people, you know, there's so many people out there right now that are perhaps watching this right now, right? And they are literally waiting to be spoon-fed, if you will, right, by somebody. And they think that, you know, unless I know exactly which button to click, until somebody shows me and tells me exactly which button to click, I'm just going to sit around and wait, you know, for, you know, some sort of a miracle that we both know never happens until you take action, right, of some sort. So what you're telling me right now is you had to figure things out yourself. Who was your teacher in terms of technical stuff? Was that YouTube? Was that Google? Was that, how did you get the information?
Pretty much both of them. It was, if we didn't know how to do something, and even YouTube in those days was really new. But we would just go there and we would put the video there, and then we'd find out what it is we need to do. We'd stop the video there, then go and do the little bit we needed to do, play the video on until we created what we needed to do. It wasn't easy, but it was very satisfying because we did it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, what we did, in actual fact, like I'm sitting here now, we have two computer screens, you know, linked to one computer, a laptop linked to a major screen. And we used to have the video running, the training video on one screen, and we'd have the website open on the other, and we'd do a bit, we'd watch a bit and do a bit, watch a bit and do a bit. Did we get stuck? Yeah, of course we got stuck.
Everybody does.
And occasionally, you know, because we didn't have Facebook groups and all those sort of things in those days, we only had him. You know, I'd sometimes send him a message and say, look, I'm stuck with this. Can you give us a bit of guidance? And, you know, he would, which was great, but it wouldn't be all of the time. We had to get on with it. And I'll take it a little step further, because when Susan and I decided we were going to do this and we were going to totally change direction because we could see that it would give us the time freedom and the travel freedom that we wanted, we started part-time, and that's important. Everybody should start part-time. No, we even did an interview with Sharon Lecter a few years ago, which we've got on video, actually. And she, for those of you who don't know, she is the co-author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And we asked her exactly this question: how do people start to become entrepreneurs, particularly in the online world? And she said everybody should do it part-time alongside their job, so they don't have financial problems whilst they're learning and building a business. So that's just an aside. But for us, we set ourselves a goal of 6 months. We were going to work part-time, and then at the end of 6 months, we were going to go full-time. Now, that was a goal that we set ourselves, but I would recommend that everybody has a short-term goal that stretches them a bit, pushes them a bit, but it makes them come home from work, as we did, and sit down and do your business. Do whatever it is you're having to do. If there's football on the television or soccer on the television or whatever you like to call it, cricket on the television, we've all got boxes now that can record stuff and we can watch it online afterwards and all this sort of stuff. You don't actually have to watch the game live. You don't actually have to watch the television live. You can watch it later on in the evening. So for us nowadays, there's no excuse. If you're determined to achieve whatever it is, as we said, for us, it was time freedom. If you're determined to achieve it, if you set yourself a goal, you'll do it. But if you don't set that short-term goal, it certainly wouldn't have happened for us.
No, not at all.
Love it, love it, love it. You guys, I want to get into a little bit more specific. So, you start out part-time. You start out with basically just your mentor who is a lot younger than you were at the time, right? Telling you, hey, you should be doing this, and you just go out there and figure things out by yourself. Which that right there, you guys watching this, right? Huge, huge, huge lesson for you in of itself, right? So the information is not lacking out there. What's lacking is is not resources, it's being resourceful, right? And so all of us can be resourceful by just tapping into the resources that's already available out there. YouTube, Google, my goodness, right? So we can figure out pretty much anything that we want to figure out if we just want it bad enough. So Chris and Susan, what do you guys, okay. You get this program for $3,000. It sits on your shelf for a while. You don't even touch it, right? Maybe I can come back to that a little bit later on because there's a lesson in of itself right there. What are you promoting? What's your first venture online? Are you selling somebody else's product? Do you go out there create your own product? Tell me your first beginnings of your first success, your first sale. Walk me through your first sale. What was it like?
It was
affiliate marketing.
It was affiliate marketing.
We didn't know then, did we?
No, we didn't know that's what it was. Basically, we were selling this $3,000 program. Included, as Susan said, a whole range of different online education programs. So they were training. It was a library of different trainings, and so. So
wait a minute. So you got the program. If I can, excuse me, rush me here, but I want to make sure that. I've got a newbie hat on, if you will. So I'm like, I'm eager, right? So I'm full of passion and enthusiasm. I want to do this. I'm like, I'm looking for those nuggets, man. So Chris, okay, so you got this program. Initially, you got the program to learn marketing, right? And now you're promoting the program. So were you sold on the company? Were you sold on the program? Was the program that good that you decided to promote it? Was there just an opportunity for you to promote it? What made you kind of shift gears a little bit from, applying the product to what you were already doing to completely changing industries, if you will, and now starting promoting online the program that you purchased?
I think, the first thing was that by moving online, we could build our business from anywhere, and that instantly just gave us the freedom we wanted, potentially.
Got it.
Although we had to build the business first, obviously. But yeah, it was sort of talking to our mentor and sort of saying to him, well, can you explain a bit about this? And he said, well, basically, you can build a business without having your own products, promoting products that are in high demand in a hungry market. And, for us, that space is online education.
Right.
It was online education back then, and it's still the market we love. We love teaching and training and selling people products, promoting products that help people build a business online because it encourages entrepreneurship. It's entrepreneurship, and that's what I guess we teach more than anything else. But going back to what you said, we were promoting products and that program. I.e., you could buy the whole lot for $3,000, or you could buy individual ones, depending on what you wanted to do at different price points. But we didn't need to create the products. We didn't need to create any of the websites or the videos that promoted them. We didn't need to do anything other than, as we were told then, promote the products and build a list. That's what we were told to do.
Oh my goodness, were we glad
Build
we
a
learned
list.
that. The build a list. And I'm just going to say build a list because it is so, so important. And honestly, Vic, because we were quite innocent, we didn't really realize the power of what we'd been taught by our mentor then. But he just said, I don't care what you do or how you do it, and you use the products in the product that we'd actually bought, the $3,000 product. You use the marketing training that's in there, which was everything from Google AdWords to video marketing, social media, using Twitter, Facebook, you name it, it was there. He said, I don't care what you use, find some that you really like and just build your list every day. He said, and I want you to make sure that when we have our next call together, that you have you've been building your list every single day. And I'm going to ask you how many leads you've got every single day. Now, back in our minds, we thought, there's no way he's going to ask us that when we have a call with him. But, we said, we better damn well do that because he might. And he'll want to see it because, we've got Skype, and Skype was very new then too. And he would have asked us to have a look at our autoresponder account and make sure that we were doing what we said. Oh, my goodness, I am so glad we did that because if we hadn't.
So I think the other thing that came out of that was the time frame that it was going to take. Because, he taught us to build a website, he taught us on Facebook, and then he taught us about autoresponders, as it was in those days. We were using Aweber to build the list. And then he started to teach us about marketing strategies, find one and learn it and start to use it so that you build your list. And, all of that takes a bit of time. Well, it certainly took a lot more time then than it probably does today. Certainly in 4%, setting up your autoresponder, and that is clicking a button and
it's wonderful.
clicking a few buttons and it's done. But the thing is, you have to do some work and you have to trust the process or trust the system, because those processes and those systems have been created by, somebody like yourself, Vic.
Right.
So the system is going to work. The process is going to work. It's you taking the action and being consistent and patient. Because I can tell you that once we started marketing, it still took us a few weeks before we got our first lead. But before that, we'd had to learn some marketing strategy. We'd had to build the websites. We'd had to do all of that stuff.
Set your foundations really strongly.
So we probably didn't get our first lead until we were probably 8 or 10 weeks into our learning and our doing, if you like. So, 10, 12 weeks, so approaching 3 months. And all the time you're doing the stuff you're told and you don't get a result, i.e. you don't get a lead.
You're going, what am I doing?
You're going, is this working? What are we doing wrong? You've got the little voice on your shoulder saying to you, no, this is rubbish. It doesn't work.
Right.
You're doing something wrong. Because it should have worked by now. But that's one of the big benefits of having a mentor or having a community that you can go to and ask and say, this isn't working for the moment. Will it work if I keep going? And of course, the answer you get back is yes.
Because this is where a lot of people fail. This is where a lot of people, throw in the towel. Is they try something, doesn't work, and they don't get the result, and then they just say, okay, it doesn't work, so they go into something else and try to reinvent the wheel. Whereas you guys stuck through that, right? You persevered, and you go from that, right, to speaking on stage in front of 6,000 people. So I want to know. So this list building topic, came up, and I'm glad that you brought this up because this is hugely important for any entrepreneur watching this. I don't care if you're selling houses or if you're selling information marketing products or if you're selling anything that you're selling. If you're selling your own DVDs of you singing, it doesn't matter. You should be building your list. Okay, your prospects, your customers, it doesn't matter if you're selling potatoes. I mean, you should be building lists and everything. You know what I mean? So I want to talk about what happened? Okay, so you guys are building lists. It took you a little bit to start, getting your first set of subscribers. Obviously, you cannot get a sale if you don't have somebody visiting your site, if somebody doesn't engage. Okay, so walk me through, how did you get your first sale? Okay, how did that happen? Did you have to, connect with your list? And by the way, you guys are watching this here. There's no, this is totally raw, unscripted. We don't have any, there is no questions that were prepared in advance. This is what makes it real. And I believe what sets the journey apart from everything else out there, because everything else out there is staged, and I believe in keeping it real is what's going to do it. So I don't even know how you guys got your first breakthrough. Walk me through that first breakthrough, which is in business. Nothing happens until something gets sold, right? Until you put money, you get that commission in your bank account. That's really the most important thing in business is revenue coming in, right? You being able to move the product. So walk me through how that happened for you guys.
Well, I can tell you it was, we just had to continue to build our list, and build our list.
Talk to them, email them.
Talk to them, email them, and we were taught email every day. And we said, no, that's far too much.
They won't want to hear from us every day.
But mentor said, email every day. Just tell a story, but make sure you've got a buy link in that email somewhere. And so that's what we did, because we didn't know any different. So we told a story in an email every day. And I can remember our first sale came at we'd been working for about 4 months. And all of a sudden, one day, we got an email to say, you've just made $400. What? Where did that come from? And, so, you dive into your back office to find out, how the heck did that happen?
Happy dance all around the office, I can tell you.
So it happened to be somebody who just clicked on a link in an email we'd sent, funnily enough. I remember it, he was a pig farmer. And he lived in Somerset, which is down in the sort of West Country of the UK.
You never forget your first sale, huh?
You never do. No.
Why a pig farmer wanted to buy the product, the online education product that he bought, I have no idea.
Sell pigs, of course.
Awesome, love it.
But that was the point. By following the process of emailing every day and having a link in your email, and that link went to effectively a sales video that somebody else had done. The guy found whatever it was he bought for $400, or we got it. He must have paid about $800 for it, and we got a 50% commission. And he did it, and all of a sudden that was that's your second big breakthrough. The first big breakthrough was getting your first lead, and the second big breakthrough was making your first sale. And I think it took us a little bit longer because we were selling stuff at a little bit of a higher price,
and we were a little bit older.
Well, yeah, and so, but it just happened through consistency, doing what we were told to do, not trying to reinvent the wheel, and not trying to break the system. We've got one of our mentors who actually lives in the US, who we meet every now and then because he flies around the world, and we tend to meet him at Heathrow Airport as he comes through London. And he said to us one day, we were sitting having dinner one evening in a hotel, and he said the words are, you have to be married to the process, divorced from the result. And what that means is that you have to believe in the process, believe in what you're doing, even though you might not be getting the results yet. Because if you continue to follow the process, the results will happen. And, even he turned that round a little bit, and he said, if you were working, so he said, let me relate it to the network marketing industry, where we specifically, a lot of the training is done by talking to people. And he said, the thing is what people try and do, especially when they're new, because they're all excited, is they try and convince people. And you can't convince people to buy, because people will make that choice if the product is right, the time is right, and everything comes together at once. That is when they will buy.
It's like the perfect storm, really, isn't it?
And as long as you are prepared to accept that, then just keep following the process and stay divorced from the result, because the results will come.
Love it. So 4 months to get your first sale.
Yeah.
What kept you in the process, man? I mean, it like, to most people watching this, they're like, dude, if I don't get a sale my first 2 days, I'm out. You know, this must be a scam. This doesn't work. This, right? What kept you guys going? Was there something much bigger than you trying to get that first sale? What was that kept you in the game for 4 months without results?
I think that what it was, we didn't know any different. I mean, nowadays there's the good side of Google and YouTube and the internet, and there's the bad side, and the bad side is like the overwhelm and all that kind of stuff. But we didn't know any difference, and our mentor said to us, your first big ticket, because we were selling high ticket, your first big ticket sale will come within 6 months. And to be honest, we had set aside enough money, some funds to live day by day, to pay the bills and all the rest of it for 6 months. We so trusted that, and it was through that, really, that mindset shift, believing in somebody else and what they said, that really has got us to where we are today. And it's actually how our book came about, because our book is all about mindset and success, and it's our journey, funnily enough, and what we learned and what we can teach other people through learning that. And we're really hot on that mindset thing. That is all I can say. It was just a mindset thing.
Really, I mean, it was a question of, we were told that, you know,
it would work.
It would work. But we had to be consistent, and we had to be patient.
Gotcha.
And we weren't going to get the sale tomorrow.
Yeah.
If we were expecting it tomorrow, then don't even bother starting.
And I think one of the things I've heard you say quite often is, you know, if it's your, I can't remember what the expression is, but like your bread and butter money, if it's the last few dollars that you have to get started, then maybe it's not the right time for you, that you should carry on getting the education you need. There's a lot of free education, and when you have some money behind you and you have the mindset that it's a business and it's going to take investment and it's going to take time, then is the right time to start. I think it was just different for us 6 years ago, or as long back as when you got started. We tended to think about things slightly differently than we do today. Today we're very anxious to get on with stuff. We want results quickly. It doesn't quite work like that, but you can get results quickly with the right kind of systems, the right kind of training, and knowing that someone's gone before you, really, and set the way for you.
Yeah, I think that's what it's about, isn't it? It's about having somebody who set the way for you and sets your expectations.
Love it.
I think we are, you know, as time has gone on, and, you know, the advent of the internet and communications becoming instant, we have the expectations of people have changed. So they expect, I want to do this today and I'll have a result tomorrow. If we take business as a whole and entrepreneurship as a whole, business has always been about a time process. It's always been, you know, you don't go and, if I decide I'm going to go and open a corner shop, and let's say I'm going to sell groceries, it doesn't matter what I'm going to sell, and I decide, right, tomorrow I'm going to do that, I'm not going to have my shop open and fully kitted out with all my stock and all my staff and my tills and my systems and my bank accounts. It's not all going to be open tomorrow. I have to go through that process.
Right.
You know, I've got to buy the shop, or I've got to rent the shop. I've got to buy all the shelving. I've got to decide what stuff I'm going to sell. I've got to get all my systems in place. And then eventually, probably in 2 months' time, I'm going to be able to open the doors to my shop and say, hey, guys, I'm here. Come and buy my stuff. But I'm not going to be able to do that for 2 months. And I've got to work for those 2 months to get to that point. And I think, an online business is no different. It's just you don't have a physical place. We still have to learn. We still have to get the foundations in place. And we have to be patient while we do that and understand that we're investing our time and our money into our business that's going to give us that return, but it's not going to be instant.
Yeah, what you guys just said is so profound that it's very, very important. I just wish that every aspiring entrepreneur, online entrepreneur, would get this. Is you got so many people coming into this. Well, I'm going to be an internet marketer. I'm going to be an affiliate marketer. I'm going to be an info marketer, a network marketer. You name it, right? Doing what we do, and people have a wrong expectation or a wrong view of the type of business that this is, right? So they treat it like a lottery ticket. I'm just going to buy this program and I'm going to expect to become rich tomorrow. And if I don't, I'm just going to buy something else. With the same thinking, same mindset, they're getting the results that are same results, which is nothing. And they're going from one deal to another deal to another deal, not giving them, themselves a chance to succeed really. And because they just simply don't understand that it's a real business. It's just like, I love the example, Chris, that you just said about the offline shop, right? I mean, you've got to, if you invest money in the online venture, then your expectation is totally different, right? Because it's something tangible. Well, because internet can be viewed as something that's intangible. You can't really touch the internet, right? How do you touch the internet? You can't, right? It's all virtual. That people get this twisted, weird, thinking about it, right? And that's why a lot of people are being kept bondage because of that. So I'm glad that you brought it up. Guys, I want to talk about your list. So you mentioned about, connecting with your list, which is another huge idea about, making yourself stand out, right? So what you did is you took an approach from what it seems like to me, and I want to talk a little bit more about that, which is your building that personal relationship with your list. So you talked about, you were sending them stories. You were talking about stories. I mean, what kind of stories? If I'm somebody who's brand new, I'm like, Chris, Susan, do you guys talk to them about the weather? Do you talk about what you had for breakfast this morning? What did you talk to them about? give me some pointers on that one. How did you do it?
Well, it certainly wasn't talking about having a cheese sandwich or anything like that, which is what the famous expression at Twitter was all about when it first launched. But no, I mean, what we used to do was we just talked about what we were doing step by step, stage by stage as we were building our business. So if we were reading a book, so say we were reading Think and Grow Rich, maybe we were reading any other classic business building book, and there are so many of them. I mean, it's just ridiculous. But I would talk about that. So maybe I read because I do all our email writing. Chris does all our what I would call techie stuff because I'm more hands-on, touchy-feely, and I write well. It's just something I've discovered I have a love for, and I would just write about something I read. Sorry, this is live, guys. We have got our cat here because when she hears us on video, she wants to come and join us. But I would just share stories about something I'd learned, and I would relate it to why they were there. I would always ask a question, back to them. Well, what do you think? Why are you here reading this? You're here for a reason. Maybe you haven't decided what it is that you really want to do yet, but you're clearly looking to make money online, and there's nothing wrong with that. People find that expression has some kind of bad connotation. It flipping doesn't, make money online. Yeah, we all want to make money online, and we do it in the way that we love. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about it with integrity and honesty and trustworthiness. So let's not try and make things up. And that's what we found. We then found our subscribers were writing back to us because they actually felt we were writing to them one-on-one. And I cannot tell you how many emails we've had. Oh, thank you so much for writing to me, Chris and Susan. And you really understand me, don't you? And no, we don't know you. We've never met you. But we know the problems that you've got, and we know we have a solution for you along the road, and it takes time to build that relationship, but it works.
I think the other
really
thing you
works.
can talk about, I mean, when we first started, I mean, we used to talk about, well, we've just got in, we just spent 2 hours sitting in a traffic jam because there was an accident or whatever.
I bet you can relate to that.
So you can tell a little bit of something that happened real life today that other people will have a similar problem.
So,
and then we go.
Right. So when you guys write, let's say there was something happened, or you saw something interesting, or you read something interesting you wanted to share. Is your strategy to loop every single email communication to a CTA, which is call to action? Or do you just do you write a lot of emails that have absolutely no call to action? You just pure connection with nothing to sell?
We sort of have a process, and it was something that was taught to us, which is value, 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 sale, value, 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 sale. And we pretty much follow that. But as our list has grown, and to be honest, we very rarely lose a subscriber. And if we do, well, they go for that by their own choice, and what we have for them is not right. We don't worry about that.
Right.
But we do now know how to structure an email so that even if we are doing value, so telling a story, giving some training, inviting them to a webinar, inviting them to watch some free training that we've got, inviting them to watch the journey, something like this, there will always be a section, apart from where they can contact us, that they can find out how to work with us. And I think when you put it softly like that in your value emails, there's always that place where they can go. And we've sort of trained them to go and look there.
Yeah.
And they do. And they do.
I think because, one thing that, it's really important to understand what happens to people before they buy. Everybody has a journey. It doesn't matter what you're going to buy. Everybody has what we call a buying journey. So to give you an example, if you were going to go and buy a car, if you're going to go and buy a new car, the first thing you would decide is, okay, so what type of car or vehicle do we need? And it's going to be based on the size of your family and the type of driving you're going to do and how many miles you're going to drive and all that sort of thing. If you've got a kid, if you take kids to school every day, there's no point in having a 2-seater sports car because it doesn't work.
Right.
So you decide on what type of vehicle you want. Then it comes down to, so who makes those type of vehicles? Now let's go and have a look at the manufacturers or the local garages that sell that type of vehicle. Then you decide on a make. Once you've decided on a make, you might then decide on what sort of model you want. And then once you've got your model, you're then down into your colours and, what sort of wheels it's got and how many seats it's got and whether they're leather or plastic or what, But the whole thing is you don't just decide, I'm going to go and buy a car, and you just walk into the showroom and buy the first car you see. You buy what you want. And it's exactly the same when people are buying online. They have this process they go through. It's a research, basically. And at some point in that research, they make a decision that it's the right time for them to buy and who they're going to buy from. So if you only email your list once every 3 weeks, you're not going to be very often in their thought pattern or in their field, in their face, if I can call it that, just to be blunt about it. If you email every day, they're not going to read every email you send, or very few of them read every email you send. But they're going through their journey, and when they get to the point where they're ready to buy, and it happens to be something that you sell, there's a good chance they're going to say, oh, I know Chris and Susan sell that. Right, let's go and have a look. I've read all their stuff, and I like them, and I'm going to go and buy from them.
Yep.
So there's that process, and it comes back to this patience thing again. I mean, we have one guy who joined us in one of our current businesses. He was, funnily enough, he was an accountant, and we didn't know he existed. He'd been following us on our list for 3 years. For 3 years. He'd never liked a Facebook post. He'd never replied to an email. He'd never done anything. We didn't know he existed, other than the fact that he was a subscriber to our list. And then all of a sudden, he just sent us an email one day, and he said, right, can I have a quick chat? I'm ready to get started with you, and, you know, I want to do it today. We had a chat, and he bought, and that was it. And we didn't even know he existed.
And this was high ticket. I mean,
This
really
was high
high
ticket. Yeah, I mean, he
was-
spent $30,000 with us. So, you know, it wasn't but it took him 3 years to decide he wanted to work with us, to decide on what program he wanted, and to decide he was ready to buy.
It just happens.
It happens.
So what I'm hearing, you know, from what you guys are saying here is you don't focus on a short-term gig. You focus on a long-term, stable, building a stable business by investing in your followers and subscribers and building that relationship. Because, you know, there's a fallacy that says, goes around here in the internet marketing that a lot of people buy into, which is false, that the money is in the list. And it's not really true, right? Because, you know, I can go out there and I can buy a CD of like millions and millions of emails, and I wouldn't make a sale. But the money is in the relationship that you have with your list. So it's not really how big your list is. It's how much relationship, the level of relationship, the level of trust that you have with your list that really matters here. Love it. So I want to talk about scalability. How did you guys scale? How did you go from that, you know, your first sale, right? You communicated with your list, and so you're doing soft sells. Love that idea, by the way. How did you guys scale your business? How did you get to the point to where you got invited and you speaking in front of 6,000 people? And I know you guys are members of the 4% group.
Yes.
You know, one of the recent promotions that we had for one of the companies we endorse here, you guys pulled in over $24,000 as a result of beta testing that particular funnel. Obviously, you went along. You know, you came a long ways. Walk me through the scalability process. Are you just doing this more of the same, just on a bigger level? Do you have a strategy for scalability? How did you guys scale your business?
Okay, so let's just take when we started. Our preferred marketing strategy, if you like, lead generation strategy, was Google AdWords, and that's what we were taught. And, you know, we were told, find the right keywords, get the right place, write the right adverts, get the right website to send them to. And people would opt into our list, and that was going great. And we found that we could, in actual fact, spend, the more we spent, as long as we got some good keywords running, and we had a number of campaigns running, that we could scale like that. That was what we did. The problem was that was our only marketing strategy. And in 2000, I think it was the end of 2011,
we were having a nice skiing
holiday, and all of a sudden our leads dried up.
We thought, what the heck is going on?
What's going on here? Well, what went on was that Google changed the rules and decided they didn't want to promote online businesses anymore. We weren't the only ones.
But that was a big wake-up call.
It was a huge wake-up call.
In many different ways, Vic. It wasn't just about we had only really had one serious way of marketing, but we also only had one stream of income, which was this one particular program. And long story short, that program went the way of wherever programs go when they don't work anymore.
Happens, right?
Yeah, it does happen, you know. And
I can tell you why it happened. It's because they didn't keep their training up to date.
It just, and people wouldn't buy it. And then we thought, this is silly. We now understand what we do is affiliate marketing, and it took us quite a while to realise that was a particular type of marketing. We were pretty innocent. We thought, what we have to do, we know how to do it. Now let's expand our reach. We love the niche of online education, entrepreneurship, and let's call it Make Money Online. I don't care. That's what it's called. Let's expand that and market lots of different products in the same niche, because after all, that's what our subscribers are there for. They're expecting us to deliver solutions to their problems. And that was the start of it for us. We started introducing other programs. We promoted a program the same as you did. We did extremely well there. That's what gave us our biggest breakthrough and our confidence boost, and knowing that what we've been taught worked on a much bigger scale, because you talked about scalability. That was a much bigger scale for us, and it was just fantastic.
I think, going back to scaling, talking about marketing strategies, I mean, we had to learn another marketing strategy pretty quick to keep the leads flowing. But, what came out of that was that you need to have more than one source of lead generation. And we basically have, we split our marketing, if you like, into three. We have the free marketing that we do, so that's basically we do blogging, we do a lot of social media stuff, videos, but that is for us, it's more relationship building as well as list building. But the other two, we then have one which is what we call a marketing strategy that we are masters of. So, for example, Facebook pay-per-click, so Facebook advertising. We learn how to do it, and we do it. That marketing strategy is totally in our control. It's one of those things that we can say, if we want to put 10 ads out today, we'll put 10 ads out today. If we don't want to do any ads today, we won't do any ads today.
Right.
Okay, so it's a skill that we've got, but we totally control it. The other type of marketing strategy that we use is, a good example is solo ads. I'm going to call it solo ads because that's what it's known as generically. But basically, you buy traffic from other people. So in other words, I pay a solo ad provider to create an advert to send leads or clicks to my offer. And they will opt in there, and I get the leads, and then it's back to the follow-up, the relationship building, and the email marketing. So the difference is that, to me, if I'm doing Facebook advertising, I'm doing all the work on the front. If I'm doing solo ad type marketing, the work comes on the back. In other words, all I have to do to generate that list is pay somebody some money. But the key here is that you have to find the people who have the right market for what you're offering, because, if I was selling a dating product and I gave a link to a guy who was selling, online education, it's just not going to work.
Well, sort of. It could be interesting.
It could be interesting, yeah. But if you see what I mean, so you have to make sure that your ads are congruent with whatever product or range of products you're selling. But going back to the original question about scaling, you have to have more than one type of marketing strategy, but that happens over a period of time. It's not going to happen on day one. We always say, and we teach and train people, start with one that works for you. And whether that's a learning process, we always recommend you learn one type of strategy that you totally control. But, a lot of people who start part-time, they might not have the time to do that straight away. So the solo ad type of approach would be better, or maybe better, because they don't have time. So they get other people to generate the traffic to their lead capture pages, and then their job is to work on the back end with the follow-up, because that might suit them better. For others, it might be better for them to learn a strategy like Facebook or, Bing AdWords or something like that nowadays, and do that themselves. But it's entirely up to them.
And that's how you scale.
Love it, love it, love it. So the big lesson here is never rely on anything that's one, right? You guys watching this, look, if you're watching this and if you have one traffic source that you're relying on, you're in danger. Your business is in danger. Chris and Susan, you guys learned that lesson. I had to learn that lesson myself back in the days, and I'm pretty sure if somebody didn't learn that lesson yet, they will. if they, you know, rely on that one particular traffic source. Nothing that's one is sufficient, is scalable, is good enough, right? Because that can change just like that, and you can find yourself be out in the cold. You also mentioned, you know, one income stream, right? That you depend on one income stream. Have multiple. See, and this is so true. You guys look at, you know, anybody who is like a real successful 7-figure a year income earner on the internet, entrepreneur, right? If they've been in the game for if they're not a fluke, if they're not like a flash in a pan type success, they all have multiple streams of income coming in, right? So they have this, you know, money coming in from all these different directions, create solid, you know, solid foundation for the business, which is good. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk to you guys about is this, you know, obviously you guys are members of the 4% group here. You guys are doing great. We'll, you know, I want to ask you a question about that in a moment. If somebody is watching this, right, and perhaps, you know, they're just getting started, you know, they're aspiring entrepreneur, based on what you have learned for yourself over the last 6 years that you've been doing this, right? What would you say was your biggest lesson that you like, wow, that really taught me, right? What was the biggest thing that you have learned that you could, the biggest takeaway for yourself so far over the last 6 years?
I would say, and you have just touched on it anyway, and it's why we're such big advocates of multiple streams of income. It's having those different income sources coming in all the time of different components of income. So what we call residual income, which is money that comes in month in, month out, but you do the work up front. So you've got to make the sale of a product or service in the first instance. So that's really important. I think you need to have streams of income where you have more what I would call bigger income from making a single sale. Definitely that's important.
I mean, we have, I mean, we have 3 types of income
he
in our
explains
business.
it best.
One of which we call it our bill money. So in other words, as Susan said, the residual income that comes in every month from perhaps something like a membership site. Mm-hmm. So that covers our bills.
Right.
We then have what we call our spending money. So this is the money that comes in, the day-to-day money that comes in from what we call middle price affiliate products. So anything that might generate us an income of, let's say, $200, $300, $400, $500, maybe up to $1,000 a sale. So that's our spending money. And then we have what we call our luxury money, and that's what we call that's the high ticket products. So that's the products that generate us over $1,000 for every sale, preferably something like over $5,000 a sale.
Right.
But you know, that's the money that allows us to have the lifestyle that we have and travel around the world and do the things that we want to do when we want to do them. And so that's the 3 types of income that we generate. And, you know, over a period of time, you're not all going to do it day one, but it's quite amazing how a lot of the programs now have these 3 types of income built into them. And, you know, I wish that when we got started 6 years ago, we'd had a program that had all of those different types of income in them. But I think going back to the original question, breakthrough, to me, it's consistency. Consistency and patience. I think they go hand in hand. You know, you have to do something on your business every day, whether you physically do it or whether you have some sort of automation, because obviously we can't all have time every single day.
Right.
You know, but you've got something either you do yourself or you have a tool that does some sort of advertising, marketing, relationship building for you every single day.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I think there's I think what you guys shared here, my goodness, there's, you know, I don't know if you can see it, I'm taking a whole bunch of notes. I mean, I tons of notes that I took so far from what you guys said here. Hopefully, you guys watching this, this show, you're getting these golden nuggets. I have a saying that goes like this: one idea can make you a millionaire. I think what you guys shared here is plenty of ideas for somebody to become multimillionaires. Really, if people just apply these ideas to what they do. You guys are members of the 4% group. Obviously been in the industry for 6 years, seen a lot of what's out there, speaking, writing books. Why 4%? What you guys, what attracted you to our group here?
It's exactly what we said. It was the fact that you put together a concept that we had long wanted to put together ourselves, but we're not product creators. We're not system creators. It's not something we wanted to get involved with, but we saw this, and we've always I wish I could pull out the book and show you, but we had this all set down, this concept of a business that somebody could join that provided them with ways to have multiple streams of income in one place. All those tools and resources that we learned from our mentor were things that were important that we put on our website and showed to other people, because he said those are the things that will give you what he called marketing money. We've talked about it as bill money, but he said that's your marketing money. You want to be selling those things because they're things people want and they need. But wow, when you said that when you were creating the 4%, when we had that first discussion about it and what you were going to do, it was like our eyes lit up and we said, oh, thank goodness somebody's doing it. I wish it was me, but I'm glad it's Vick, because you have the resources to do that. I would say the other thing is the community that you have created with the members of the 4%. I mean, it's phenomenal. I mean, you've got something like 6,000 odd people in the Facebook community, and the whole mindset of that tribe are moving together in one direction, and the concept of the 4% that you explained so well. You have the right people in the right place guiding and helping one another, and I think there's nothing better on this earth than that. And really, if I was to say one thing, apart from all the monetary side of things and apart from all the training, it is that community. And I think that is what makes the 4% unique amongst anything else out there.
And I think also the fact that you've got the foundational training in there, that's the important thing, that when people come in for the first time, there's like this huge arrow that says, right, start here. This is where you have to go first. Forget all the rest. Just do this first. And
you guys like that? You guys like that step-by-step approach for somebody getting started?
I love it. It's like Monopoly. If anyone knows the game of Monopoly, you may not pass go until you have done this. And it is exactly done that. I've actually written it down in my notebook, the 7 steps that you take them through, because they're very, very powerful. And I think anyone who has never had a business online probably won't appreciate what they're getting. But I can tell you, over our 6 years of experience, boy, are they getting something different that hasn't existed before.
Yeah, we do have, and I can say this without hesitation, we do have probably the best community, at least from what I have seen out there over the last 12 years online. We attract some of the coolest people, and it's because of the vision that we have here. So, guys, I appreciate your vision. What would be, if somebody was watching this, right, and they're like, they're eager, they're excited, perhaps they don't know how to start, what to start, maybe they're a little skeptical, maybe they're a little bit afraid, of the new venture, of stepping into the unknown. What would be your biggest advice for somebody who wants to do what we do, but yet might be a little bit like on the edge yet? What's your biggest, single biggest tip that you can give that person?
So I think you've got to do some research. That's the first thing. But assuming once you've done your research, but don't research for months and months and months and months and months, because all you're doing is going into research mode. And research mode won't do you any good whatsoever. But once you've done a little bit of research and you're happy, make a decision. You have to make the decision, because if you don't make the decision, you'll be sitting on that fence doing what you're doing now. And in 3 months' time, you'll be going, I wish I'd done that. Maybe I should have done it. Maybe I shouldn't have done it. The biggest thing is, if you understand this, that fear is only there for about 15 seconds. And that's the 15 seconds before you make the decision. Because once you've made the decision and you've clicked the button, the fear's gone.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. I love that, Chris. I love that. Awesome. You guys, look, I wish we had more time, but we're limited with time here, and I don't want to keep you guys up for too long. I know it's late there where you are. Appreciate you jumping on the journey. It was great hanging out with you. You guys gave out a lot of great golden nuggets here that I'm sure the viewers can get and put it to the work. By the way, you guys are watching this right now, live audiences. Go ahead and post a comment below. Did you guys get good stuff from this interview? Because I got a whole bunch of notes here that I took from this couple, Chris and Susan. I'm going to talk to the person who might be watching this right now, and just for a minute here. And maybe you came across this interview. Maybe somebody sent you here. Maybe you might not be a member of the 4% group yet. Maybe you're somebody who's just sick and tired of being sick and tired in your life. You know what I mean? Maybe you're just been running into brick wall after brick wall and not getting the results you want. I want to invite you. I want to actually give you a gift. Okay? I want to give you a gift. I want to give you a free access right now to the 4% group, and you can actually check it out. We actually have laid out these. It's called 7 Steps to Results Guide, and that's really what it is. It's a guide. Okay? So instead of talking like a lot of people talking about, well, for you to get the results, you gotta set the goals, which is important, yes, right? And then people go into like, okay, you gotta meditate for hours and hours a day, right? And it's like, dude, come on, man. At the end of the day, what's results? Results is money in your bank account. It's moving the product. It's making a sale. How do you do that fast? Okay? And while at the same time building a solid business for yourself. So there wasn't anything like this, so we decided to create it. And so if you are somebody who is ready for a true change, right? If you're watching this right now and you want to be, you want to build a career by being an online entrepreneur, doing what we're doing, right? What Chris and Susan are doing, we want to give you a shot, a real chance for you to succeed. So somewhere on this page, there's an opportunity for you to check out the 4% group. Go ahead and check us out. You can create yourself an account, get in, start your 7 Steps to Results program tonight. You'll be able to get yourself set up and hit the ground running fast. Okay? Chris and Susan, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you guys on the next webinar here with the 4% group.
It's been great talking to you. It's been an absolute pleasure, Vic. So
all right.
Look forward to seeing you soon.
Awesome. See ya. All right, so cut. And so we're going to be talking to, that was the quick CTA for people who are not members of the 4%, because obviously this video is going to be turned into a funnel, right? I want you guys to, again, we have the 4%ers watching us right now, right? So people in the 4% group, since I have this opportunity to have you guys on a line here with me, if you can just hold up for a few more minutes. Sure. We have a lot of people joining us. Again, new people joining us, new people coming in, perhaps they have never done marketing before, and they might be a little bit like, okay, I'm sure I'm probably going to fail. I know there are some people like that. Anytime when you have, a room of, 200 plus people, there is somebody who has that mindset. Okay, I'm gonna prove to myself that I'm gonna fail. So I want you guys to maybe address that a little bit. Also, I want you to give your if you could go back right to where you were and again kind of just throughout your journey and now being in the 4% group, what would you think that somebody who just got started, they made the decision, they're in, okay, what would you tell that person that would help them really take their game and build something beautiful, in their business? Okay.
Well, it's something that we do teach. We have our own tribe, our own guys who are working in the 4%, and we tell them that setting your foundations firmly is the best thing that you can do, that you should not try and race ahead to the end result that you want without putting those foundations in. And that is by following the process step by step, not cheating, because you're going to cheat yourself. You've just got to do it, because if you don't do that, it's going to collapse. And then you're going to go, I wish I had. and therefore we're really strict. We're a bit like the mum and dad of the internet. It's a bit funny, really, but we just say it's so important. If we could have our time again, we would do exactly what our mentor had taught us, and that is take it slowly, set your foundations, build the list,
yep.
and your results will follow.
Simple as that, really.
Yep, yeah. Simple as that.
I mean, you know, the industry is a simple industry. The model is really simple. What complicates it is people, because they don't follow. People don't follow the basic principles. Susan said they want to get to step 7 without doing steps 1 to 6.
Yeah.
And yeah, we all want to get to step 7, but you know, to me, it's like, you know, I want to have the iPhone 7 today because it's been launched. It's a question of you know, instant gratification.
Yeah, it's the biggest problem.
And it doesn't work. You know, we're setting up a business, we're going to build over time, and you will be so glad in 6 months' time that you did that, rather than go, you know, when in 6 months' time you've got money coming in every week and therefore every month, and you know, the idea is to get to money coming in every day. You know, you'll be so glad you did that, because you will have some automation in place, and you will have stuff going on in your business that allows you to talk to your subscribers every day, that makes you sales at least every week, and the goal is to get sales every day. But if you don't do that and you go for the first sale in the next couple of days, you won't have your foundations in place, because you just can't do it that quick.
Right. Love it. You guys are awesome. Again, thank you so much for jumping on here. I'll let you go. Appreciate your time, Chris and Susan. You guys are definitely rising stars. You'll be an inspiration to so many people here from doing this particular episode with me. Appreciate that. In closing, I'll just say to you guys watching this right now, 4%ers, look, if you just joined us, welcome to the team, welcome to the tribe. We're all in this together. You know, we're moving in one direction, which is help you become successful. Appreciate you guys. I will see you next time. Chris and Susan, have a great night.
Thank you very much.
You guys are amazing. Keep crushing it. Do whatever you're doing, because that's obviously working.
Okay. You take care.
All right. See you, everybody.